today, and I didn't know I was going to be surrounded by so many people that I already know, so that's a wonderful thing. And hopefully, I am going to ask you guys to engage with me, if I have your permission, if you will participate a little bit here at the very beginning, because I'm going to ask for a show of hand over a couple of questions, okay? And I'm going to ask, if you do raise your hand, if you'll keep your hand up until I'm done asking questions. Are you guys willing to participate?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Leonard.
Depends.
Yeah. How many individuals in the room have ever had their own personal experience with a problem with alcohol or other drugs? Please raise your hand. Okay, I may not have to ask the rest of the questions. And I probably don't. How many have ever had a family, a friend, a colleague, an extended family member that has had a problem with alcohol or drugs or any other type of addictive disorder? Please raise your hands. I want everybody just to take a look around the room. And with that, you can put your hands down. Therefore, I think just by looking around the room, each of us can understand the impact that addiction in all forms, alcohol, food, sex, gambling, etc., has on this country. I believe that addiction in all of its forms is the hole in the soul of our world. We spend billions of dollars annually protecting ourselves from external dangers. Terrorism, drug trafficking, global warming, while the most dangerous enemy is right here among us. It dissolves individuals, families, companies, children, nations, destroying the very soul of humanity. Yes, we do treat its symptoms, many forms of liver and heart disease, chronic pain, HIV, anxiety, and depression. Harm reduction measures are endless, yet rarely do we get to the root cause, because we as a world stay in denial. That denial manifests itself through our personal shame, guilt, and remorse. We as a country, as a nation, as a world, we minimize, we justify, we rationalize. We get paralyzed by our own fear, and we deny the powerful hold addiction has on Western society. The answer does lie within each one of us by embracing this as a disease and loving its victims into recovery. We need to talk more openly, honestly, and no longer ignore the impact that addiction has on us all. This is the worst of diseases. It was identified in the U.S. in 1956 by the American Medical Association as a disease. This disease knows no time and it has no boundaries. No mosquito has yet been identified, no bacteria isolated, and no vaccine yet invented to end its reign. It is now an epidemic with all the symptoms of an epidemic: social disruption, suffering, and death. The one important difference about this epidemic is that we invite it to mutilate and kill us. Between 15 and 39 million people worldwide are classified as problem users of illegal drugs. In 2011, here in the United Kingdom, 1,756 drug-related deaths. In the UK, in 2011, there was 8,748 deaths directly related to the use of alcohol. It is estimated here in England that £21 billion per year is spent in lost productivity, crime, and healthcare costs. In 2010, almost 1 million children in Britain were estimated to live with an alcoholic parent. Alcohol was a factor in 90% of all child abuse cases in 2010 here in the UK, and 55% of the incidents of domestic violence. In England in 2011 and 2012, there was only 108,000 adults that were enrolled in the treatment of alcohol misuse. Yet we know how this disease enters us, and we invite it in. We are intrigued by the brief pleasures that it offers us, and then it is calmed by the years that it takes to incubate before it erupts into its host-killing maturity. In the U.S., where there is a larger population, there are 42,000 babies born with fetal alcohol syndrome every year. Here in the UK, you have 6,000 babies born every year with fetal alcohol syndrome, which causes a large range of developmental deficits in our children. This is 100% preventable. What do we do to improve the statistics? We need more in-depth testing, screening, intervention, adequate referrals, and treatment. And because this disease masks itself with pleasure and time, we have not even yet recognized the horror enough to grant it a name worthy of its gruesome power. How insufficient it seems to call this matchless filler of graves and destroyer of nations by so pale a name as addiction, alcoholism, or chemical dependency. Fortunately, we can do something about this. In California, we have found that every dollar invested in treatment saves $7 in governmental resources. 2/5 of people that receive treatment do get well. 2/3 of people that receive treatment have reduced criminal activity. Research has proven that treatment does work, especially if we match the treatment to the severity of the illness. What will happen if we as government officials, professionals, family members do not effectively and honestly address this disease? We will continue to provide harm reduction measures and maybe some treatment. We will continue to build more prisons, but how many prisons can we build before more people are in prison than there are free people? But how much cost can we endure as a world? How much are we willing to spend? What happens when we cannot lock individuals up and provide enough services or implement enough harm reduction measures? How many more children need to be born with preventable diseases while we idly stand by and then only treat their symptoms? Will we continue to remain silent? Will we not speak out for those that need us to speak out most for them? How many of us are willing to raise our grandchildren? How many of us are willing to really be foster parents to all of the children left in protective custody? Do we truly embrace the idea that it takes a village to raise a child? Therefore, what responsibility do each of us have to understand and become more knowledgeable about this disease? How long are we going to let our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers, our friends, and our colleagues suffer in silence? And then we will only treat their symptoms. What can each of us do? Receive as much education as necessary to effectively understand and build the intervention and treatment services necessary to meet the need of the people in this country. Won't you please step out and into the light and out of denial so that the hole in the soul of our world can be filled with hope, love, and recovery? Thanks.